especially for men and women of means, right? Maybe it's better as a partnership when you don't really have means and there's a deeper level of codependency there. But when you have it all, I'm talking about money, resources, and things of that nature, is it just easier to be single and pick and choose who you want to be? That's our second hour topic. Again, you just tuned into the Zoe What Morning Show. I'm Zoe Williams. I play the role of the philosopher. We have the doctor here, author of Just Listen. Great book, How to Break Through to Anyone, Dr. Mark Goulston. Welcome. Welcome back, man. How you doing?
I'm just listening. I'm glad to be here. Hope people call in, ask us, get stuff for free that I'd have to charge outside of this.
Hysterical. Get stuff for free. And you know what? And I think that's the beauty and the value of the show. We talk about how this is the show that listens. And the fact that Dr. Mark Goulston is here sharing his expertise, hey, come get some. It's free right now. 323-965-1600. That's what we're doing. I think we have a caller online, too. It could be Jeff Brown. Hey, Jeff, what up?
Yo.
Where you at? You in the shower? What's going on?
No, I'm playing around at the house.
Oh, just sounded really airy, really breezy.
Oh, it's breezy? Hold on. How's that? AC down.
Well, put the top up on your car.
Well, I wish I was in my car. I'm at the house, and I don't know, Doc, what you know about Altadena, but my man Zoe does. Somehow, this city is closer to the surface of the sun than any other city in Southern California.
Well, yeah, you know the mountains, and it's very picturesque.
Yes, 136 degrees, though. I don't need the pictures. I need cool.
Well, hey, listen, I just set up the show. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you can participate. We're going to jump right into our crack news media correspondent, our intern / producer. They call her Chuck Doe, but her name is Mercedes Bryant. Mercedes, who are we talking about today? Give us the first story.
Okay, today we're going to talk about Chris Brown. He has a new tattoo. It's a skeleton that looks like a battered woman, so everyone's going crazy. They're like, oh, he has a tattoo that represents Rihanna. What does this mean? But really, they don't know that his birthday is on Cinco de Mayo, and skeletons that represents for that day the Day of the Dead, which that's like a thing in the culture.
The Day of Death, right?
So we should take a vote. Is it a celebration of Day of the Dead, or is it Rihanna revisited?
I think that dead heifer on his neck look a lot like Rihanna. Let me just say that.
But listen, though, Jeff, I don't think he's that irresponsible. I think he's learned his lesson. And when you're in the media like that, you get beat up for any little misconception or perception of the public based off of what you've already done.
Absolutely.
So automatically they say, oh God, he's got a tattooed picture of Rihanna on his neck after he beat her up.
Well, I think he has the dubious distinction of being the heir. First off, let's get this out the way. He is the heir apparent to Michael Jackson. Okay?
Oh, no. I'm gonna disagree.
I can't. You name me somebody else that is that talented in that many places. I can't think of Chris Brown. Can act. He can sing his ass off. He can dance his ass off. But he's also Ike Turner. Okay, so he's basically Ike Jackson.
He's Ike Jackson?
He's Ike Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Listen, the poetess is talking about your cell phone. She said, are you on the cell phone or a pay phone? Whichever one is not working.
I'm on a landline.
Well, damn.
Should we call him out? Should we call it to him, or should we call him back?
Ike Jackson. Let me just say this.
That sounds racist. Ike Jackson.
Let me just say this. I disagree 100%. I don't think he's anywhere near the singer that Michael Jackson is. Performer.
Woo!
I don't think he's anywhere near that. I don't think he's anywhere near the talent.
Oh,
Michael
wow.
Jackson.
Okay.
I just don't. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But with that said, the dude has amassed a tremendous amount of success and fortune. And I just think it's hard for him because it's almost like he's got to ask the public's permission before he does something. It's almost like he can't live his life without being misconstrued in some way.
Well, he's in a petri dish of idiots. That's another problem.
He's where?
He's in a petri dish of idiots.
God, you have a turn of phrase, Jeff. I'll tell you that. I think that heat has gone to your head and made you better.
Okay. It's being around you, Doc. It's being around you. I think that's rubbed off on me.
No, but I think the kid has learned his lesson. You know?
Me too.
I think he has learned his lesson, and I think he deserves to live his life. And that's one thing in American culture that's like one of the most difficult scarlet letters to take off. You know, because it's almost like there is no redemption for a guy who's, you know, battered someone or abused his woman or something like that, even if they get back together, which is the case. And in a lot of ways, you look at Rihanna and Chris Brown, they see each other still. They're still kissing. They're still seen in public, hanging out and all of these things. Obviously, they've gotten past it. But a lot of the perception of people won't let it go.
I don't think he's learned his lesson until you know what he does when he's really angry.
There you go.
Uh-oh.
I mean, in fact, one of my advice to couples before they get engaged, and we're going to talk about should they get engaged in the second segment, is get into. We had this, I think, a week or two ago. Get into some arguments just to see the other person at their worst, because you're going to find out their worst later. And a lot of times people are in good behavior at the beginning of a relationship, and then you get to know them, and it's amazing. You can really love someone and really not like them.
Absolutely.
And really not know them.
Yeah, there's that.
They know what they show. You know what they show.
No, you know how they make you feel. You don't know them, and you like the way they make you feel. And then when they start doing something that you don't like the way it feels, and a lot of times you marry yourself. I mean, you know, you get involved with, you know, who can. We're looking for things to make us feel better about ourselves, and a lot of times we don't even know the other person. Years ago, I saw this amazingly beautiful woman, and actually her ex-husband said, "I'm going to pay you to see her because she's perfect." And I said, "Oh, she can't be that perfect." She came in; she was perfect. And I thought, wow, this is kind of neat that she's perfect. And then what she was talking about is she says, I am in this world for men to show off. Nobody wants to know what I think, if I think. I'm here to make men look better to other men.
Wow.
And she said, look, it's a real problem because you feel used all the time. And what am I going to do? Throw acid on my face? I mean, but it's terrible. I mean, there was a saying.
Wow.
There was a saying about Marilyn Monroe. Actually, blogged about it in the Huffington Post. That when everybody loves you, but nobody knows you, you die of loneliness.
Wow.
Wow.
Why is that? And I'm gonna pose this question to Jeff and the doc. Why is it that men covet the beautiful woman more than they covet the substantive woman? When I say substantive, I mean, you know, there's a spiritual quality, there's an emotional quality, there's a nurturing quality, there's an intellectual quality. Why is the beautiful woman, why does she trump all of that?
I think men are kind of adrenaline junkies. They love power, they like winning, and when you and there's something about, look at the hot chick that I got, I've won. And I think it's interesting. I think a lot of men would rather win than have other people respect them.
Ooh. I got to stop talking to you, dude. I'm over here crying. That's wild.
You crying?
I said, I'm going to be over here crying. I keep talking to the doc. That's heavy.
Well, how did that... Gee, Jeff, you always push back at me. You must be having a bad day that you're actually agreeing with me.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you a lot more than you think. This thing about beautiful... I think the thing with beauty and women, as opposed to depth when it comes to women for men, I think that has to do a lot more with raw physical nature. The best peacock, lion with the biggest mane. It's a physical thing that you want the finest woman, that your game, your money, your looks will get you. What happens is that we're not just animals. So now you have to start dealing with this fine heifer. And a lot of times, you have been told that they were fine their whole lives are freaking horrible.
But Jeff, let me say this.
I want you two to weigh in with your collective huge IQ. I mean, I'm the lightweight in this crew. I'll tell you.
Not really. Sorry, I understand.
Well, that's because
Well, that's what's so dope is ain't no lightweights. Ain't none of us, ain't nobody. We in the Tour de France and ain't nobody on a tricycle. We all getting it.
Okay.
So, what do you think of this? I think that human nature doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is animal nature and humans' ability to not give in to it.
Wow. No. There's something to that because
Wow.
we talk about this, and we're talking about that limbic system of the brain, that portion of the brain, the old reptilian portion of the brain, and then you talk about the new developing portion of the brain, which is the frontal lobe, and that can be hijacked by the old brain. It's like I heard somebody say we're just animals struggling not to hurt each other.
I got to tell you this story. A story.
That's funny.
Here's a story about Jesus and Saint Tom. And Saint Tom took over for Saint Peter at the pearly gates, and he thought he was in over his pay grade, and so he says to Jesus, "What do I do?" And Jesus said, "I don't know. Ask them about me. They seem to have me on their mind a lot of the time, so ask them what they think of me." And so a few hours later, Jesus comes back and says, "So Tom, how's it going?" Tom said, "Hey, I think I got this thing nailed." Well, no offense, Jesus, but
No pun intended.
no pun intended. And Jesus says, "Well, who'd you see?" And he said, "Well, the first person I saw was this beautiful woman. I mean, she was just gorgeous and lovely and flowing white hair." And I said, "So who is Jesus?" And she said, "Jesus is beauty. Jesus is love. Jesus is fairness." And Jesus scratched his head and said, "So what'd you do with her?" Tom said, "Sent her through." And then Jesus said, "Who else did you see?" And Tom said, "Well, I saw this guy. He was kind of like Geppetto in Pinocchio, just this terrific guy." And I asked him, "Tell me about Jesus." And Jesus says, "So what'd he say?" Tom said, "Well, the guy said Jesus is just. He's strong. He's fair. He champions justice." And Jesus looked kind of upset by this. He said, "Really? Did you see anyone else?" And Tom said, "I saw one other person, but I don't want to talk to you about that person." And he said, "No, tell me about that person." And he said, "Well, this person, had kind of a gold tooth. I mean, he looked like, some real, crazy kind of, caricature." And Jesus said, "Yeah, tell me about him." And Tom seemed uncomfortable. And Tom said, "Well, he said that Jesus was vindictive. Jesus was jealous. Jesus was angry. Jesus was petty." So Jesus said to Tom, "What'd you do with him?" Tom said, "Oh, sent him away." And then Jesus smiled at Tom with this loving smile. And he said, "Tom, that third person saw me exactly the way I am.
Wow.
But what he failed to see is my daily struggle to not be that way."
Wow. And that's the human condition.
Mm-hmm.
That's the human condition. And I think for the people who can manage that versus those who can't, what ultimately happens, and this is back at Chris Brown, it's difficult to gain redemption after you've lost it. You have to demonstrate and demonstrate and demonstrate that you're not that person anymore. But people will still have that stigma. It's like the poetess said earlier about Michael Jackson. All you have to do is be accused of pedophilia. Guilty, innocent, it doesn't matter. The association now, through the lens of the public, we're looking at you sideways. Even if you're innocent. I mean, you look at the Michael Jackson story, he paid $20 million. To most people, you're guilty because you paid somebody off. But for him, he's saying, "I just don't want any association with this thing. Take this money, get out of here if that's what you want." Because even if it comes out, I know the perception is going to be, I did it.
Maybe the question is, does celebrity have a responsibility?
Ah, great.
Because, your fans, you get all that money from fans loving you and whatever, but is there a responsibility you have? And, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
It's kind of a fine line, though. The responsibility part is a fine line because I still get to be me. Do I have to ask the public's permission before I get this tattoo on my neck? Jeff, what do you think?
Well, I think you got to get to a point. I think you got to get to this level of kiss my ass-ism that you really can function without the scrutiny or within the scrutiny and without the approval of anybody. And there are certain celebrities that have the strength to pull that off. Jack Nicholson, Anthony Hopkins,
Right.
the Ving Rhames, these kind of cats that they really, you can see it. Their genetic makeup, they sweat. I don't give a shit what you think.
Right. And you know what's funny, though? Every time you talk, every time you speak, the poetess puts up this big Kool-Aid grin picture of you so the fans can see your
That's
face.
hilarious.
It's just this big ass picture of you cheesing.
I wish they really could see me with this dirty ass T-shirt leaned over in the front of my new. Well, it's not new to me, obviously, since I'm repairing the water pump of my '87 Blazer truck. That I'm gonna put an LS1 in and go Corvette hunting. That's for the car heads out there.
All right, so look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take another quick break. We're going to take our first break, but when we come back, we're going to continue with our round robin of stories. And don't forget, call in 323-965-1600. I think I have a special guest coming up. It's going to surprise everybody. But call us and let us know the second hour. We're going to be talking about the relevance of monogamy. Should we just do away with it altogether? You know what I mean? We just gonna really get into it. So we'll be back at 2.2. Holla at you in a minute. Zo What Morning. Let's do it.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zometheus Rising, a.k.a. the voice of reason, the philosopher. Zo Diggity in the building with my good friends, Jeff Brown, the comedian.
Yeah.
And Dr. Mark Goulston. On deck, of course, with our lovely and attractive and intelligent, but illegal as of yet, young correspondent intern, Mercedes Bryant. We're in the building right now. Zometheus, the Zo What Show, having a great time. We got more news stories to cover in this round robin of current events. Mercedes, what do we have going on right now? If you want to chime in and talk to us about anything, 323-965-1600. What is it?
Okay, so we have Republican candidate Mitt Romney. He was.
Wait a minute. Belay this story. I think we have a caller. Caller, speak up. Hello?
What's up, Zoe? How y'all doing, man?
We're good. Who is this?
This is Casey Shakur from Oakland, California.
What's happening, man? What's the word, my friend?
Man, you know, blessed, man. How y'all doing?
All right, we hanging in there. Just about to get into this other story. Did you have something you wanted to expound on?
Yeah, I actually did, brother. I just wanted to add my 2 cents on the whole Mitt Romney political process.
Oh, yeah. We're about to cover that, but go ahead.
Yeah, go in.
You know, I'm conflicted because, you know, as much as I want to believe into the whole your vote counts and this and that, it's really like people don't know about the Electoral College. They don't know about how there's over 150,000 lobbyists in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I try to explain to these brothers, it don't matter what color Obama really is. If someone's foot is on your neck, it's still on your neck if it's black or white. You see what I'm saying?
Wow. Go ahead,
Well,
bro. Could you repeat that?
No, that's good stuff. Because a lot of
Yeah.
people don't understand what he's talking about. Stay on with us, brother, because we want you to go into that, and we're gonna cover this other story. People don't understand. This is a war on class. This isn't color. This isn't like, and class is connected to commerce, and commerce is connected to capitalism. And a lot of people don't understand. This is the engine that drives this whole thing.
Thank you.
You know, but again, politics, patriotism is really the political form of religion, because it whips people up into a fervor and it causes them to think unclearly. They're not thinking logically. They're not thinking deductively. They're thinking passionately. Nothing strokes the passions of a country, of a nation, more than patriotism and their chosen religion. Somebody disagree with me? Call me right now, 323-965-1600. Go deeper into what you were saying, caller.
Yeah, it's political theater, basically. It's you know, it's the haves versus the have-nots. They portray like, well, we're for you, the Democrats. You know, we're going to give you these things. And then the Republicans are the big boogeyman. But what you don't understand is that Wall Street and big business owns both of these people.
Thank you.
Now, the Democrats might throw us a bones, i.e. health care, food stamps, and so on and so on. But with the whole Citizens United, which was a ruling in the Supreme Court allowing corporations to donate unlimited funds, I truly believe with that ruling, America was killed. That's when it was sold. It was no... It's, you know, it's like the Wizard of Oz. They pull the curtain. It's like, we ain't playing with you no more.
Right. So
it's like,
you're saying honor, integrity, and truth has been purchased by, you know, agendas of giant corporations and people who can basically come in and usurp constitutional rights and things of that nature.
Well, absolutely. Well, let's be real. Okay, I'm a black man, okay? And no disrespect, I'm not playing no card or nothing like that, but I have a different history here. In school, when they taught me George Washington was a great man and Lincoln was a great man and these guys wrote the constitutions were the greatest forward thinkers, I told my teachers, no, they were not. This was less than 250 years ago. These people held people in bondage and in slavery. I don't care what you say. That was not the thing at the time. This is not 10,000 years ago. These people were murderers and rapists.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow. If you agree or disagree with the caller, please call us and let us know. Chime in the conversation. If you agree, if you have a strong disagreement, a logical disagreement, call us and let us know. 323-965-1600. Caller, appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
disagree. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. What?
Oh, he's gone. He was just about to take off again.
Yeah.
But Mark, talk to us about it. You know, a lot of black people, we disgruntled with the government. We don't trust government. We won't even go to court. We'll get a failure to appear quick
And keep it moving.
and keep it moving.
Okay? In the words of my Uncle James, you don't need a driver's license to drive. You need a driver's license if you get pulled over.
Uncle
right.
James is going to send us all to jail. Mark, talk to us.
Now, I was just wondering, how often do you think someone donates money to tell people, I'm giving you money to do what you think is the right thing, versus I'm giving you money to do what I want you to do?
I'd say it's about 99 to 1.
Right.
And 99, I'm giving you money, and so if I give you money, I own you, and I expect something in response. I'm just not giving you money to do the right thing if that goes against what I want.
Wow.
Don't you? I mean, I think that's kind of the elephant in the room. I think we're going to get into Mitt Romney. I think Mitt Romney is more out of touch with the 1% than he is with the 99%.
Oh,
Really?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I don't think I think down deep, I think he's a decent person, but what he doesn't realize is that the rich and the wealthy, there's all kinds of studies that show they just don't care. They just don't care about the have-nots. And so I think he's out of touch thinking, well, we're going to help them become more wealthy and we're going to have the trickle-down effect. I think he's out of touch with the majority of the wealthy who research shows that they just don't care.
That's where we disagree.
But you know, yeah, I think because I'm
No,
with
let
you.
him
I'm
disagree.
with you.
Let him disagree.
I'm
Go
with
ahead.
you, Jeff,
Go
on
ahead,
this
Jeff.
one. But let's let Mercedes set up the story, and then Jeff, you can come and lay the hammer down.
All right,
Mercedes, what is the leading story today in America right now? Talk to us about it.
So Mitt Romney, he's Republican candidate for presidency. And on Monday night, he was in a room with, I guess, his supporters,
His people.
and he was videotaped. He didn't know he was being videotaped, of
That's
course.
when the truth come out.
That's when the
Yeah.
president uses his power of the CIA and NSA to snoop on his opponent. Go deeper.
Wait, now, was he the one who was topless, or am I mixing up stories here? Go
No,
ahead, go ahead.
that's Kate Middleton.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's Europe.
Don't nobody want to see Mitt's titties.
Especially those nipple rings. Go on.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so he was caught talking about some candid things from what he thinks about Obama supporters versus his supporters.
And was it how he really feels?
It's how he really feels.
Go deeper.
He basically, this is his statement. He said there are 47% of people who are with him, talking about Obama, who are dependent on the government, who believe it's the government's responsibility to take care of them. I'll never convince them they should take care of personal responsibility for themselves. That is an entitlement, and the government should give it to them.
So he's saying poor people feel like it's the government's responsibility to take care of them, and they have a sense of entitlement,
Right.
Almost like I'm poor, do something about it, government.
Right, and then he says, and they will vote for this president no matter what. My job is not to worry about those people.
Those people.
But he's right.
Is he?
He's right.
How is he right? Go
He's
deeper.
right. Okay, first off, he's right in saying that poor people look at rich people like the enemy. It's us and them for the most part, even though we want to be them. Okay, he's right there. Two, he's right that ain't no, put it this way, like I told the dude on the plane, he asked me, are you voting for Obama because he's black? I said, no, that's racist and wrong. I'm voting for Obama because I'm black. And that is the thing. So he's right there. Nobody poor and black gives a shit about Mitt Romney. He can forget that vote. He is also right that the poor think that the government owes them something. And you know what? They're right, too. The government does owe a group of poor people that they refuse to pay to look at. Reparations. I don't give a shit if everybody poor that got some money went out and bought Escalades like Dave Chappelle said he was going to. Serve their money, and ain't nobody said shit about that.
Right. Well,
How do you tell a person who can't help themselves from one that won't help themselves?
right.
That's
What
easy.
what
You
what
can come to one
what
of my family picnics.
What? Say that again?
I said that's easy. You need to come to one of my family picnics.
But can we say collectively right now that the disenfranchised people, right, in America, could we put a percentile on those who want to help themselves and those who refuse to help themselves? I know there's a movie that just came out, right? And that comedy is called The Campaign. And if you see it with Will Ferrell and Galifianakis, although it's a comedy, there is some level of truth in the writing when they talk about the lobbyist behind a particular candidate. They talk about voter fraud. Let me go deeper into this. It is said that the Ku Klux Klan, a Masonic order, was established by Albert Pike, right?
Uh-oh.
A
speak on
Mason, right? If you study the Ku Klux Klan's doctrine, They have a book called The Kloran. Kloran, the Kloran, right? Sounds like the Quran, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's a secret society, and I'll go even deeper into that if you want. But the Kloran, if you read it, there is a section in it, because remember, the original purpose for setting up the Ku Klux Klan was to scare newly freed African Americans to not vote. There is a section in the Kloran that breaks it down, that deals with observing their voter habits, preventing them from going out and voting. Now, maybe racism isn't as overt as it was in the day of the Klan, but remember, the power of the Klan at one time reached all the way to the American Senate. You had senators and governors that were straight up grand wizards sitting and presiding over people. So maybe it's not that overt today, but the same practices are in place. You go back to 2004, right? You go back and look at that second presidency that Bush got, and Florida was the pivotal situation. And then after that, Ohio was the pivotal state, and there was voter fraud rampant. Florida, what was the lady's name? I forgot her name. She wasn't the governor, but her name was Catherine something. Somebody, one of the listeners will tell us, 323-965-1600. She basically decided who the president was going to be because they refused to do another recount. You know, the dangling chads and the absentee votes. Come on, they're in the business of rigging these things. Well, that's what I believe.
I think what's being missed.
Oh, wait, Jeff. We got a caller. Who's online for us right now? Ladies and gentlemen, we have a caller on the deck. Who's here for the So What Morning Show? Talk to me, man. Hello?
Hello? Are you there, caller?
It ain't me.
Caller? Peace. Who is this?
Who working the board in there?
No. You talking, Jeff. Let me hear it. They're speaking right now. What is it? Hello?
Yeah, boy. Africa Bambaataa.
Oh, Africa, legendary hip-hop godfather, Africa Bambaataa in the building. Welcome to the So What Morning Show. What up, Bam?
Hotep, peace.
Hotep. Oh, my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're anywhere near your phone, please call us at 323-965-1600. Now, check this out. We got Bambaataa, the godfather of hip-hop, on right now, and it's important. We have to divert our conversation, even though I'm sure Bam could actually speak to what we're talking about: voter fraud, disenfranchisement of minorities and people that don't have the resources to fight this big system. This breaking news.
Okay, damn, what breaking news means is damn what we were talking about or doing.
Right, but let me do this. Last week, we were talking about hip hop, and we were talking about a beef that was going on between Lupe Fiasco, which is widely considered, a contemporary conscious rapper who's trying to make a difference by using his platform and music. And we were talking about a beef between him and a young kid who has a formidable platform as well, 17-year-old Chief Keef, right, out of Chicago. And we're talking about hip hop being used to glorify gangs and violence and corruption, misogyny, homophilia, all kind of stuff is using this powerful culture to convey a message of death and lack and scarcity. This is the guy, Africa Bambaataa, who used an emerging culture to convert gang members into hip hoppers, into break dancers, and now hip hop is being used to do the reverse. I mean, you got Lil Wayne claiming blood, you got Baby claiming blood, you got Game claiming blood, you got Snoop claiming Crip. My question is, Bam, how do we use the power of this culture, man, to bring back or to start a movement that you started in the late 70s? How do we get that to happen, man?
Well, the first thing we got to look at, what's causing the problem. And if you check the history from what we started back in the early days to what it is now, something has snuck in the culture and took it over. and we call it the Luciferian conspiracy.
What does that mean?
Uh-oh.
Meaning that there's others who may not think like we used to think, like when we was coming up knowing about civil rights, human rights, fighting for quote-unquote black power or human power, and has snuck in our culture, which first, when we came out, it was all about the party. Then we added that fifth element, the knowledge, and we started using hip-hop to bring about unity in the street, peace, unity, love, and having fun, and letting our brothers and see how to start showing some love for self and love for the community and love for your elders. So something has snuck in our culture, and not just the culture of hip-hop, in so-called black people culture. And when I say black, I'm talking about my Latino brothers and sisters too, that has caused something to change and detour the movement of the people who was following the Malcolm X's, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Nation of Islam, the Ansarul Allah community from Dr. York, the Black Panther Party, and so many more, Angela Davis and all the stuff, Miriam Makeba and the Free South Africa movement. Something has caused something, you know, when they say like the Jefferson, we moving on up. Something has caused the friction of losing who we were and what was our struggles of the 60s that slowed down in the 70s because we thought we was moving on up like the Jefferson. And all the stuff is back in our face in the next millennium, 2000.
Can you share some moments when you realized that you looked out and you said, we can all do and be better than this, you know, when it was all in that violent mode, because it seems like it's shifted now and people don't care about doing and being better. That people care about getting more of their piece of the action. But you have a few stories you can share when it really dawned on you and then you really devoted yourself to that?
I got to share is that many of our brothers and sisters, I'm not saying all of them, had lost the touch in getting back in the community and speaking to the young brothers and sisters. See, back then, we respect each other's mama. Your mama was my mama, your papa was my papa. You wasn't going to cuss in front of your mother or be somebody else's mother who we respect. We put a hand to our butt, or we taking us to our parents and say, you know, this one talking out of hand in front of us. And we had the Big Brother program when the men would come in and speak to the so-called gangs. So when we had the gangs going crazy in the streets, we had people like the Nation of Islam coming to visit us. We had people from the Ansarul Allah community coming to visit us. We had the Black Panther Party who would come and sit down and speak with us. You had many of these great people. You had what's his name that did all of the black exploitation movies? Always had the white woman.
Black exploitation movies?
He had the I Can movement in the West Coast where he was speaking to the gangs. You got to ask, what happened to all this? What happened to all of the elders coming back in the streets and teaching what happened? How many of us have forgotten and we forget? You go back, whether you watch Roots, whether it was real or not, or the knowing our story, our history, our mystery. Speaking to the brothers, speaking to our so-called Latino brothers and sisters to stop this friction to I'm brown and you black, like if you ain't the same people, which you try to run from your African side, which is your Moreno. When you hear the songs like Big Pun saying Boricua, Moreno, well, when you're saying Boricua, you still say Moreno because you still come from the ancestry of the Moors.
Right.
So we're not teaching no more of our story, what happened. You're not teaching it. It's just almost 40 years ago. And the same problems that they had back then in the 60s is back in the face of the people now. Yes, you made some strides. You made some movements. But then everybody has got too calm and relaxed, and that's why they're taking back everything. What you thought was your community that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad put so much to say, get up, black man and woman, and build for self, and do for self, and Marcus Garvey and all them, we turn our backs on all these great people who came to teach us. Noble Drew Ali, all these greats who came to teach us, we turned our backs on them, and now we are getting the repercussions for turning our backs on what we were supposed to be getting up to do for self by building your own hospital, your own schools, your own stores, and this and that. And you're coming back into a slave for just begging.
So Bam, are you telling me that, because this is what I recognize. I recognize today technology is doubling and tripling and quadrupling like every 2 weeks. You know, our technology gets more and more advanced. But I feel like just listening to you right now, the content that should be flowing through these technological streams of delivering information, the technology is superficial. It's not deep. You know, it's like we got access to all the information in the world, but it's almost like the smartphone. Kool Moe Dee told me this. He said the smartphone is smarter than the person using it. It's like we're dumb, but we have a smartphone. It's like we're not using it for its power, what it could actually deliver to us. The content we want is pop sugar. The content we want is who is Rihanna dating. The content we want is who got money, or who got the flyest clothes, or who got the new Jordans or the new LeBrons. We want superficiality, but we have the means to get meaningful information. But these young kids, it seems like, and this is why I won't bang on Chief Keef, because regardless of what he's talking about now, he's only 17 years old and he has a position of power. My question to Bam is, how do we get this young generation who's isolated and insulated through technology, how do we get them the information that says you matter more than what you accumulate? You matter more than, what you can get physically, materially. Because it seems to me that they don't really care about culture. They don't really care about knowledge. They'll say, there's too many words, or that's too much information. I'd rather, listen to a record, or I'd rather, watch a video of somebody fighting or something silly. I just don't understand. There's a disconnect for the youth and what you're talking about. How do we reconnect them to the power of what hip hop can do spiritually, culturally? How do we connect them to that?
The only way to still connect is, like I said, you must first look at what is the root of the problem, who is putting money to make sure the problem stays the same, and getting the elders, all the big brothers and sisters who know, who are conscious in this, back in the streets, in the community. I don't care if they say, I don't want to hear about that, I'm this and that, I'm a gangster, I'm a pimp player, I'm making all this money. You still speak to them. And you still try to communicate to the brothers and sisters to stop being degenerate or degraded in the neighborhood and be warriors for their community and their people. And it's only going to take a human speaking to a human.
Wow. And
we have all this technology, which many of our people help to make it, but many of our people don't even know that half of them help to invent half of this stuff, and some of them don't really care. And like I said, we ain't going to be able to save everybody, but we got to get back in the streets to keep speaking to our people.
Do you have any?
We can't take the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to keep going after all these years to keep the only one that could get out there and keep doing the stop the killing, when you have so many other leaders and young leaders in the community that many should be speaking to the youth.
Wow,
Dr. And try to speak to some of the rappers that need to be on conventions and hall meetings, town hall meetings, where brothers and sisters. What's the brother from Chicago name?
Chief Keef.
Chief Keef, I want you to come to this meeting, brother, because I need to speak to you on a one-to-one basis, or I need to speak to you on a community basis.
Let's reiterate that, though.
Not trying to degrade them right in their face or in a big audience and going back and forth arguing. No, speak to your brother and sister behind closed door. Talk to them on the situation. Let them see. Brother, check this DVD out on what happened to your people back this amount of time of this. And you're going to have some they might feel it. You're going to have some that say, I'm all about the Benjamins. And those are the ones you're just going to have to push on the side and like they used to do in South Africa, not destroy and kill them, but you might have to put them out the community.
Well, that's kind of like
until we put laws and discipline back in our community, there's always going to be people who could come in with money,
wow,
and alter be done.
Are you saying
And
that
if
the
we ain't
black
thinking
community?
about how to build our own schools, gymnasium, our own centers, our own hospitals, and all that, then you defeated the purpose of what you're here on earth to do for your people.
Bam, are you saying? Are you
That's why all
Bam?
these
But
elders are turning over in the grave.
Africa Bambaataa, are you telling us that the black community, the only way we're gonna turn it around is if we take that price? It seems like you saying we have a price on our head. Like somebody can always come in and offer us something that we're willing to sell a piece of ourselves for.
I'm saying that just look at history. We had the great Motown, who groomed groups, who made them know that they were gods and goddesses, to where they sold it. And Isaac Brothers sold Cheap Neck and other companies like that. And now you got the people who want to be the B word with attitude, or the NWAs or stuff like that. We ain't saying that we don't need some of that, because sometimes some of them is hitting on another part of the community that needs to be told. But we need our elders and our older brothers and sisters in the street, and even the young ones that are conscious, to get back in the community and speak to the people.
Wow.
Ain't nothing going to be done if you don't speak to your people. If you scared of your people, I'm scared of the Crips, I'm scared of the Bloods, I'm scared of the Latin Kings and all this stuff and that, and you scared of your people, then you would never do nothing to change the situation that you in.
Wow.
You
Hey,
don't take the fear that you don't know. Our only one I fear is the Creator, or whether you call him Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, Elohim, Jah, or the many other names, and go back and be the time like when there was no computers, no internet, none of that. What Elijah, Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, and all of them had succeeded more than with all these computers put together. They had succeeded more getting our people together. And now we got all this information out here, and we still can't get our people together in this millennium. Something's wrong.
Wow.
And we got to look at what went wrong back then, so we can know what's happening now, so we can know where we're going for the future.
So-
otherwise, we're going to be wiped out.
so let me do this really quickly. Africa Bambaataa, where can people who want to connect with you directly, where can they find you? Do you have a website? Do you have any email situation where they could reach out to you and share their thoughts and ideas with you, as you have done so eloquently here?
Well, we have the ZuluNation.com, and we have email Zulus@ZuluNation.com. We also have the Universal Zulu Kemetic Moors, which you could also send emails to Zulu staff at earthlink.net. Then we have many brothers and sisters, around the world who are also trying to do things in their different communities of the Universal Zulu Nation, as well as many of the other groups who's out there that's still been struggling and trying to do things for the people, and which money has been playing a big role. We also got to teach our young brothers and sisters who are killing over this dollar bill that's not even real money.
Woo! Uh-oh.
And if it's not backed by gold and silver, you fighting over toilet paper that could be reprinted over and over in the dollar and make you believe that it's real money.
Wow.
And
Wow.
teach the value of what happened with gold and silver.
Wow. Man, this is so heavy. Let me just say this, man. I really appreciate you taking out the time to call us. The show is honored to have you here. I appreciate it. We got to take a quick break. But, brother, you can call back anytime you want to, man. And hey, we'll open up the floor for you to share your vast and immense amount of knowledge. We appreciate it. And I honestly hope that Chief Keef and Lupe Fiasco reach out to you, man, so you can broker some type of peace or some type of understanding between the two brothers, because they stand on polar opposite ends of this powerful culture known as hip hop. And if you can bring them together in any way, in any shape or form, I urge them to reach out to you now. And once again, thanks again for taking out the time to call in. Africa Bambaataa, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We got to take a quick break. I'll be back.
Party people, can yo get funky? Suicide folks, can yo get funky? The Zulu Nation, can yo get funky? Yeah, just hit me. Just taste the funk and hit me. Just get on down and hit me. Bambaataa's getting so funky now, hit me. Yeah, just hit me. It's time to chase your dreams about the seats. Make your body sway, socialize. Get down. Let your soul lead the way. Shake it now. or pay. Our world is free. Be what you be. Me. You're in a place where the nights are hot, where nature's children dance and say the chance on this mother earth, which is our rock. The time has come and what for soul, to show you really got soul. Are you ready? Pump, 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 get bump. Now let's go. House is rocking, don't stop it. You gotta rock it, don't stop. Keep ticking and talking, working all around the clock. Everybody keep rocking and clocking and shocking and rocking. Go house. Everybody say rocking, don't stop it. Mr. Big. Wow. L-O-B-E. The Soul Sonic. Gotta rock this and poppin', 'cause in the century there is such a place that creates such a melody. Our world is by the plan of a master jam. Get up and dance, time to chase your dream. About to see, make your body sway. Socialize, get down, let your soul lead the way. Shake it now, go ladies. Is this a living dream? Love, life, live. Everybody just rockin', don't stop.
So what morning show? Hey, we just had Africa Bambaataa in the building. Do you understand how huge that is?
Can you talk about what you talked about in the break, who he was and what he did?
Oh my God, people don't understand, man. This dude used the culture of hip hop to stop gang violence in New York.
Yeah.
He basically did it single-handedly.
Dude
He-
was the Thomas Edison of hip hop.
Yeah, man. I mean, and of course, you got Kool Herc. Everybody recognizes Kool Herc as the father of hip hop. But to use hip hop as a tool to stop gang violence, Africa Bambaataa. I mean, we not gonna kill each other no more. What we gonna do is battle through breakdancing, through MCing, through DJing. We gonna create crews, and from that cruise, I'm gonna connect y'all to a lot of the stuff he talked about. I'm gonna connect you to the Nation of Islam, who speaks self-empowerment for black community. I'm gonna connect you to the 5% Nation, who speaks self-empowerment to the black community. All of this is New York saying, okay, the gang violence is too much. This dude galvanized the power of the culture of hip hop to stop gang violence. Now look at hip hop. It's happening in reverse. When you add something as powerful as hip hop, if you add something to that filter, it goes out all over the world. So if I love the game and I'm an African, I'm aligned with gang's blood, gang affiliation. Or if I love Lil Wayne and Lil Wayne says I'm a blood, what is a blood? Oh, it's a gang that originated in LA and they kill Crips. You see what I'm saying? And then speaking to what Africa spoke on, dude, Lil Wayne recently had a Rolling Stone interview where he says, how you gonna tell me what the fuck to do? Basically, everything I touch is successful. So it's kind of hard to tell me I'm doing drugs. That ain't a good thing to do. Wait a minute.
Depends what you use as a ruler for success.
That's the point. But what I'm saying is, with spiritual guys, higher consciousness guys, such as Doc and you and me, and higher consciousness doesn't mean we're better than. It just means we're in a different space consciously. And it doesn't mean you're low. It just means you're vibrating at a different level. So,
and that frequency is lower than ours.
And there's Jeff to go ahead and push that out there. But the point that's being made is we value things that are outside of ourselves. Lil Wayne is made by his accumulation of external things, but inside, empty as a sarcophagus that has yet to bury somebody.
Whoa, say that again.
Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like you can't be made by the things that are outside of you, but we got to teach the youth that you're made by the things that are within you. So then everything you accumulate is not who you are, but a reflection of what's in you, as opposed to this makes me who I am. So when
It's too far. I think it's too far gone for that. I tell you what, I think it's going to have to
go
happen.
deeper.
The dollar itself, the thing that they worship, is going to have to fail them. The only way that can happen is for it to fail itself. So, as soon as we get as soon as this dollar crashes, and all they are worth is what they are worth in fire, then we become who we really are. They're not going to be. It's too. It's like saying, okay, how can we save the Titanic with the half of the boat underwater?
But
we
see,
can't.
but you know what? And this goes back. All of this stuff ties in. Mitt Romney, 47%. I'm not talking about the have-nots. Those people will vote for him because they like him and because he offers governmental services. I'm not speaking to them. Listen, at the end of the day, people try to marginalize the position that this system puts on people. You cannot have rich people without defining classes of poor and middle.
That's it.
You can't have it, and you have to maintain those divisions. If everybody could be rich, it wouldn't mean anything. It wouldn't matter. So I got to keep the checks and balances in place. What are the checks and balances? I got to keep Planned Parenthood in the hood. I got to keep KFC in the hood. I got to keep liquor stores. I got to keep liquor stores in the hood. Listen, if you go to the hood and you see their grocery store versus the grocery store in your neighborhood, say you live in a nice neighborhood, Gelson's is different than Food for Less. There's a reason why Food for Less cannot buy a building in Beverly Hills. What the fuck is Food for Less doing in Beverly Hills? No, Food for Less is over there where you are because that's what we want over there. Do you understand? Beverly Hills wouldn't accept a Food for Less, now would they? Beverly Hills,
right next to Hermes.
Yeah, you understand? Right next to Hermes, right? Right? Who's going to do that? So people don't understand. Oh, those poor people, they're just victims. Yeah, and guess what? I always say this about women and victims and black men. Black men, because we've been oppressed so tough in the American system, we figured out a way to hustle. Well, the reverse of that is women have figured a way out of hustle too. It's the same way black men have figured out to hustle. Sometimes women hustle the victim role because they know if I play the victim role in a patriarchal society, somebody's going to come to my rescue, whether it's the government. That's why they have judicial gender bias, right?
Right
or,
on.
you see what I'm saying? Somebody's going to come help me if I claim lame, right? That's the same way the black man has done. I'm a claim lame, but ain't nobody come to his rescue. So what does he do? He creates jazz music. What does he do? He creates hip hop because he's trying to figure out a way to get out from under this oppression. So what is the symbol of success for a black man? To be able to be where the white man is, because the white man establishes what is successful. Tell me I'm wrong. Talk to me, Dr. Mark. I threw you under the bus.
You're at warp speed. Actually, what you triggered out, I think a lot of the wealthy people and the haves, they have a fear of the oppressed. And I think the reason they have a fear of the oppressed is because, and this is a psychological term, sorry for that, there's something called projection. So I think a lot of wealthy people are afraid of the oppressed because they say to themselves, if I was that person, if I was a have-not, I'd get violent. If I was poor, I'd be destructive because the wealthy can't stand it. Right. And so what they do is they need to keep the oppressed down. Part of it is because they're afraid of them. It was something we were talking about before the show is a lot of men will do that to women because there's a fear that women can see right through you as a man, that they can detect when you're BSing, they can detect when you're lying to yourself and you're lying to everyone else. And a lot of men don't detect that because they do it amongst themselves. But you look into a woman, who has half a brain in her head, and she's gonna. And what goes on in that look is she says, "I know you're full of it. You know you're full of it, and you know that I know you're full of it." And so I think a lot of times what happens is we sometimes try to keep down those people that we think can undo us. And I think some of the haves do that. There's a fear of the downtrodden because the wealthy could not stand it. They would not. They would.
Oh,
not
they
stand
kill
still.
themselves all the time when it happened to them.
That's what you see.
They lose all their shit and jump off a bridge.
That is right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But again, at the end of the day, we've got to acknowledge, because I'm tired of people. There's somewhere, it's a middle ground for everything, and everything is a half truth. You know what I mean? Because the reason why everything is a half truth is because most people are coming from a particular perspective. And there's multi dimensions to every side of truth. So if I'm coming from the perspective of the poor don't need any real support, all they need is drive and go-get-itism, and then they can be where I'm at, then that means I'm not looking at the parameters that are established. There are established borders that prevent people from getting to a certain level of success.
Can I go deeper on that?
I'm about to, and then I'm going to throw it to you,
Sure.
right? But take, for instance, I know this young girl who just graduated from Inglewood High School. This is the main reason why we didn't send our son to Inglewood High, right? She graduated with a 4.0, but couldn't get into UCLA, couldn't get into USC,
Wow.
couldn't get any. The best she got was Cal State Northridge. I know another girl went to John Muir High in Pasadena. Because these schools are not considered academic juggernauts, right? She had a 4.0. Couldn't get into UCLA, couldn't get into USC, couldn't get into Cal Berkeley, had the grade prerequisites, but because she couldn't get into these schools, where did she go? Grambling. Not that Grambling is bad, but how come she couldn't get into the schools that she wanted to get into? This goes back to that big to-do about Puffy Combs' son getting in on a scholarship because he's Puffy Combs' son. Not that he wasn't a good student, not that he wasn't a good athlete, but UCLA is known for not having a lot of black kids coming to that school. Once they got rid of affirmative action, they said, oh, well, we don't have to have black kids here, so we aren't going to actively get them here unless they're dunking or running a football. Come on, man. We got to talk about this systemic, there's a system in place that prevents people from getting to where they got to go. People that are poor, people that have lack, people that have scarcity. There's a system in place. And maybe I'm wrong. Somebody call me and tell me if I'm wrong. 323-965-1600. Talk to me, Jeff.
This is my issue with people who say poor people need to pull up by the bootstraps, and that's the other thing. Black people, stop saying that America is racist. It's racist secondarily. It's primarily classist. If it was If it was primarily racist, there would be no Oprah, no Michael Jordan, or no wealthy black people, rich black people. There would be none of them.
Right.
So to hell with that. My issue is this. If you get up in the morning and say, poor people should be able to do exactly what I do, and I work from here or there, that's like having a race, a foot race, 100-yard dash, and the rich guy and the poor guy are standing right there. The gun goes off. The rich guy takes off, sponsored by Nike, training in the best camps with the best food on a smooth track in lane number 1. In lane number 2, the poor dude has to wait. He can't take off yet.
You got to wait 17 seconds. You got to wait 17 seconds.
You got to wait 17 seconds. It's broken glass and gravel on your side. Niggas is throwing rocks at you. You got one shoe.
Sponsored by One Shoe or Us.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sponsored by Food for Less. And the dude that gets to the finish line before you has the nerve to turn around and go, you know what? You running slow. You lazy. You unambitious. You didn't work out hard enough. You didn't want it as bad as I did. No, that's not true. And I'm not saying that could possibly be, but if you cannot acknowledge your head start, you on some bullshit.
Well, and then go it the other way. Do it the other way. When I was in the 10th grade, My counselor told me, her name was Patsy Pentecost, Miss Pentecost, right?
Wow.
She had a little short hair. She reminded me of Iyanla Van Zant.
Okay.
She was like, Mr. Williams, we gonna get you to Howard U. Your sister is there, and you're coming next, right? And I told her, I said, I hate school, and I hate just all of this. And she was like, no, we gonna get you there, son. We gonna get you there. But what she said was, to speak to your point, she said, brother, you think it's gonna be easy. Well, it ain't. She said, I have to be 10 times better than Miss Sumner right next door to me just because of my skin. She said, I got to be better than her by 10 times in order to get to where she is. And we get paid the same amount. But she said, if I came in here on her level, they would have no need for me. I gotta demonstrate that I'm 10 times better than her to make the same amount of money as she makes.
Absolutely.
That's what she told me. And she said, you better get used to this world. Now, she said, now maybe it may change when you become an adult, but right now, this is where it is. Listen, I got to take a quick break. I need to take a quick break because we're going to set up our monogamy second hour. It's coming up right now. The monogamy second hour is crazy because this ties into the 47% too. Should men or women, because I know rich women and I know rich men, should they forget about monogamy altogether because of the resources and options that are available to them? Is monogamy irrelevant to people that are rich, to people who have resources? Because it seems to be a problem all the way around for rich and poor people. Is monogamy the issue, especially for rich people? When I come back, we're going to get into it. 323-965-1600. 323-965-1600. Zo what? Zo mornings. We coming back. Peace. Zoe What Morning Show. Oh my God. You know, it's kind of hot up in here. Let me just do this really quickly. I forgot to do this for the homie. DJ Mr. Number Wonderful is in the building, spinning. And he's spinning all wax. This is no Seratos, no CDs. He's spinning wax. He came in here with just vinyl, doing it. DJ Mr. Number Wonderful. Hey, really quickly, you got a website where people can find you? I mean, you can book this guy if you want, right?
Yeah, for sure. They can hit him on Facebook.
They can hit him on Facebook? Oh, tell him.
Yeah, you can hit me on Facebook, Mr. Number Wonderful. I'm there with some SoundCloud mixes and all my events.
How do you spell Mr. Number Wonderful on the Facebook? As it's said?
It's NUMBERONEDERFUL.
There you go. So you just spell it all the way out. Mr. Number Wonderful. Number Wonderful. Hey, he's a dope DJ. You see the vibe. It's all chill, laid back, whatever. I love his style. He keeps it flowing for us. And again, Jeff, you on with us, right?
Yes, sir.
For anybody that's just tuning in, of course, it's the philosopher Zoe Williams, the doctor, Dr. Mark Goulston, author of Just Listen, How to Get Through to Anyone, right? I'm paraphrasing, but check out Doctor. And of course, the comedian, Jeff Brown, is on the phone with us right now at the crib in the heat. I want us to cover this topic, man, about monogamy, and I want everybody to share their opinion about it because it seems like there's just more and more and more relationship discord, and people seem to be surprised or shocked about it when something happens in the news, whether it's Chad and Evelyn, whether it's Usher and what's her name, Tamika. I mean, people seem to be surprised about it, and there's to me there's this heavy cloud of judgment, as if, oh man, you're a terrible person because you've gone through this. And I'm just saying, in my understanding, relationship conflict is ubiquitous in relationships, and not only is it ubiquitous, but we have the wrong mentality for it. We think it's bad, and it might be bad in feeling, but the opportunity that it presents for growth to me is incredible. But I'm wondering, is our ideation and our concept of monogamy, is that the problem that creates a lot of rift in relationships?
I think the problem is that we're in a culture or time of